G7 foreign ministers have agreed to support humanitarian pauses and corridors in Gaza, but they've refrained from calling for a ceasefire. US Secretary Antony Blinken met his counterparts from the bloc right after touring the Middle East in a bid to prevent the conflict from spreading.
G7 ministers reaffirmed our staunch support for Israel's right and obligation to defend itself and seek to ensure the attacks of October 7th can never happen again in accordance with international humanitarian law. We had in-depth discussions about the steps that we are taking to address urgent needs on the ground. We all agreed that humanitarian pauses would advance key objectives: to protect Palestinian civilians, to increase the sustained flow of humanitarian assistance, to allow our citizens and foreign nationals to exit, and to facilitate the release of hostages.
Despite the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, the G7 says that it will not waver in its support for Ukraine. The group has pledged to increase sanctions on Russia and provide Kyiv with critical energy assistance as it prepares for winter. The foreign ministers also addressed relations with China, saying that the G7's policies aren't designed to harm the Chinese economy. They flagged the need for candid engagement with Beijing and stressed the importance of working together on global challenges. And for more, let's cross over live to Michio Ishida. She is in Tokyo. Mitch, the G7 leaders, they've come around on a common stance on the Israel-Hamas war. What were their plans on revitalizing peace efforts in the Middle East?
Well, chair of the G7 foreign ministers meeting, Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa, explained in a news conference what has to be done in the short term is to calm down the situation. And in the mid to long term, territorial issue must be resolved between Israel and the Palestinians in a peaceful manner. Now, this is crucial for the international community, which does not want the crisis to spill over. Analysts here say if these attacks continue, the Indo-Pacific could be affected. G7 foreign ministers agreed it's important not to escalate the crisis further, and for that called for the abidance of international law. But for now, the immediate need in the Middle East is humanitarian support for those affected by the attacks. Here's more from Foreign Minister Kamikawa during the presidency's news conference.
人道危機に対処するための緊急の行動を取る必要があること、食料、水、医療、燃料、シェルターおよび人道支援従事者のアクセスを含む妨害されない人道支援を可能とすること。
Mitch, the group also had some harsh words on the North Korean arms transfers that have been made to Russia. Tell us more about that.
Well, if you recall, back in September, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited Russia, and he was given a special treatment there by President Vladimir Putin. He was given a tour of Russia's space center. Now, North Korea has been firing numerous times what it's called a satellite. It's its own space program, and the international community called North Korea's program as testing ballistic missiles. And there are views their technology is actually advancing, and that is a threat to the region, especially Northeast Asia. And G7 members want weapons of mass destruction to be abandoned. On top of G7 members' claim North Korea is transferring its arms to Russia, which continues to invade Ukraine. And this has been strongly condemned by G7 members for violating UN Security Council resolution. They called North Korea and Russia to cease their activities. Now, G7 members also deplored North Korea's systematic human rights violations. They urged North Korea to resolve the issue of abduction of Japanese citizens immediately. And this is an area Chair Japan especially wanted to be included in the statement. Now, to conclude, the key achievement at this G7 foreign ministers meeting seems to be that member states was able to issue a joint statement to show they were unified in their pursuit of international peace, security, and prosperity.
Mitch, thank you for that update. Michio Ishida, live for us there in Tokyo.